now that we know how the staff works and how Noteheads work and how Clefs work, I want to see how we deal with these in a practical situation and some of the conventions that we use when we're actually working with these, reading and writing music. So I want to start with, I think, a practical problem, which is, suppose I want a performer to play the melody Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. I know that that melody has 2 C's, 2 G's, 2 A's, another G, then 2 F's, 2 E's, 2 D's, and then lands on a C. So I want to write that out for a performer. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, by the way, that C is middle C, which means I'm going to start on with a treble clef because middle C sits very comfortably at the bottom of that treble clef. So I'm going to draw a treble clef here. And one of the things you may have noticed already, but I'll say it sort of outright, is that when we read music and we write music, we do it from left to right. So what I'm going to do is I know the first thing I need are those 2 C's. So I'm going to go just after my treble clef, and I'm going to write a C. Remember, the C is that notehead that sits on the first ledger line below the treble clef staff. And then I'm going to go to the right of that C, and I'm going to write another C. So now I have my 2 C's. Next, I know I need 2 G's. So I'm going to go to the right of that C, and I'm going to write a G, and then I'm going to write another G to the right of that G. So C, C, G, G. Then I need 2 A's. So to the right of those G's, I'm going to write 2 A's. And then I need another G. So I'm going to write the G right there. So far, so good. Here's what I've got. Now, notice I need to write the rest of this melody. I have the 2 F's, the 2 E's, the 2 D's, and then I want to land on C. But I'm running out of room here. I'm coming to the end of the page. So what I'm going to do is, just like if I was writing a line of text, I'm going to move down to the next staff, and I'm going to just resume at the beginning of the next staff. And I'm going to write another treble clef. We always want to write a clef at the beginning of every staff that we use. That will always orient us and just be absolutely sure that we know what that staff is going to mean. So now I'm going to write my 2, I'm just going to resume right here. I'm going to write my two F's for the how, I. And then 2 E's. And then the 2 D's. And then finally, I'm going to land on the C. And there we go. We've notated our first melody here. So let me play this whole thing, starting from the first staff on the very left-hand side. 2 C's, 2 G's, 2 A's, landing on the G, now skipping down to the second line, 2 F's, 2 E's, 2 D's, and a C. Now there's something else that we can do with music that we can't or don't usually do with words, and that's not only can we play a melody where one note follows the next note, but we can also play 2 or more notes at the same time. That's one of the cool things we can do in music. So suppose, let's go back to the beginning of the melody. Suppose I want the performer to play on that very, very first C. Rather than just play one C, I want the performer to play two Cs, the middle C and then the C an octave above. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write the second C vertically aligned. That wasn't quite what I wanted there. Let's try that again. Right on top of the first C. What we're going to do is we're going to try as best as we can. We're going to vertically align these two note heads to let the performer know these are two notes that I want you to play at exactly the same time. So let's do the same thing over here. We'll have two C's. And then I want the performer to play a G and a B right here. So I'm going to put a B right on top of, as aligned as best as I possibly can, on top of the G. Then I want the performer to play an F along with that A. So I'm going to put an F, again, aligned vertically as best I can. And then in this last note of the line, I want the performer to play an E underneath the G. So if I put that together and I play this correctly, we have a way to notate more than one note at the same time. Now, in the next video, we'll look at some even more complicated versions of this, but this gives us sort of a good start.